Hi, I'm Rebecca, and since I'm a disorganized mess, I don't do the get ready with me, but come have a pear with me instead. Um, so, uh, started doing this with Ty, but today was a little bit of a rough day, and his mother has taken a couple of falls, and he needed to go to bed, so I sent his ass to bed. So now I'm having a pear. It's my nice calming thing to do at the end of a day. And it's about 7 o'clock, so not really quite the end of my day. We've been doing this a little bit later in the day, but it kind of feels like the end of the day. Everybody's starting to wind down here because we had an early morning when Waveline fell getting out of bed, you know, to use the facilities first thing. And that time, Ty and I were able to get her up by ourselves, but she's not good with the muscular how to get herself back up. And so it's kind of that dead weight lift, which is not good for Ty, as he had heart surgery not too terribly long ago. So, I did get to go. I had friends who were having a baby shower today, and they had a good turnout of their baby shower, about 40 people. I'm excited for them. My boys are grown, so the idea of a new baby is kind of a foreign idea to me at this point in my life. The ages and stages and all the things. Don't get me wrong, I love a new baby, but what work and starting all over. There are a lot of things I wish I did differently with my parenting and that I would do differently, but overall my boys are doing well. The oldest lives in Las Vegas, and he's just working a retail job out there. His dad lives in Las Vegas, so that's kind of how he ended up out there on the other side of the country. And then my youngest, he's drilling this weekend. He's in the Air Force Reserves, and so he works during the week here, but then once a month he has to go off and drill, and it's quite terrifying, the idea of him working on jets, but he does the avionics, which is some of the electrical components of jets, and he works on F-15s and is based down at Old Seymour Dix, also known as Seaboard Johnson Air Force Base, but I grew up in the Fayetteville area, and it's not far from there, and you need a good Johnson Dick joke, so it was always the go Seymour Dix, and he's like, yep, going to spend a weekend with the guys, so Seymour Dix, haha, bad lame joke, but still cracks me up all the time. So and the whistling is my mother-in-law's dog, Maggie. I call her Piccolo Joe because she whistles instead of bark. She does occasionally bark, but I get more of the whistling out of her than the actual barking and such. So I have been told I have a face for radio, so I don't know that this format is necessarily the way to go or not, but I figured you guys could at least watch me slice my pear up like a crazy woman, as Ty says. He's like, yes, at some point, when they're hauling you off to jail for something, I'll say, well, she was always a nice woman, but she did like to slice up her pears like a crazy woman. So, that's really because they're thin like chips. And I'm getting kind of a sweet chip. And it's a little bit more diabetic friendly. At least I've convinced myself it is. I get that it's sweeter than a potato, but the potatoes are all just straight carbs. And this has probably more fiber to it. And it's once a day. And it keeps me sane. And there goes Piccolo Joe playing with a toy. I probably should have put her to bed, but I did not. I don't know, the idea of being a new mom again, I'm not interested in starting over, but I do occasionally think the idea of fostering and doing infants or something might be nice. But also a lot of work, and unfortunately that real job tends to wear me out. Oh, I guess for progress today, today's maybe the first day in a long time that my philosophy of I say my philosophy, but one that I heard on the interwebs, you can suck, but you gotta show up. You can't skip. Maybe my first day of actually skipping in a while. Like I said, we did pick the mother-in-law up off the floor a couple times today. I don't know if that counts as exercise. It was causing a lot of anxiety for Ty, so we're not pushing that. We're gonna let him have his bourbon and go to sleep. And I'm gonna eat my weirdo pile of pears. What do you think? 1 pear's worth? Makes a lot of little chips. So, do you have kids? What stage are they in? I like to think mine, now that they're adults, have come back around to where they don't think I'm the most stupid person in the world. I'm just kind of meh. I don't have to wear glasses all the time. I'm not sure if I necessarily like this look, but they're my readers, so I had perfect vision until sometime in my 40s, and then over the past couple of years I've started having to wear the readers, and this is the hair crop we were talking about a day or two earlier. It's kind of red, but I had an Aunt Peachy who was a redhead, and my Granny Nani was. So there's definitely some redheadness in my family. My oldest, his beard has a lot of red highlights in it. So there's that. I think that, like I said, my kids have kind of come around when they went from annoying teenagers to now I'm just mom and maybe kind of somewhat of a friend, or that person they call for advice or whatever. And they do get back around there. It's hard. And I think I did a lot of things wrong as a mom, but hopefully I did some things right too. I think the thing I wish that I'd done different was that I wish I got therapy for myself when I went through a divorce and was pretty depressed afterwards. And I worked enough in very mental health adjacent work. And I knew most of the therapists in my community. And so I felt like I couldn't go to them for therapy. And I think that was really naive thinking. And looking back on it, I think it was a disservice to my kids. And I wish that I'd done it then. But I think I'm in a pretty decent place, mental health wise. But I'm also at a place of, there's a lot of uncertainty about what our lives look like over the next couple of years. And a lot of that has to do with Waveline, Ty's mama's health. And do we stay here? Do we move? I think that we both want to move. We're not in an area that we love. I mentioned the other night, I tend to skew a little bit more liberal. And we're in a very red area. And it's not that anybody's bad people inherently, but they have views towards hatred that claim to be Christian. And I have a hard time with that. But also, I recognize wherever we move, there's going to be people like that. And I just want there to be, I don't know, acceptance of people. We're all just people. But I think sometimes that life in general has gotten hard for people. And when they're stressed about finances, and they're stressed about kind of how do we make our own way in the world and their work and things like that, it's easy to want to look to blame somebody else. And then you also have a lot of media telling you to hate people. And it just kind of builds up. But with that said, I don't excuse those behaviors just because I understand where people got them. Because at the end of the day, we should want to help each other. There are enough resources on this planet that nobody should be starving. Nobody should have to worry about where water is coming from, or electricity, food. The resources are there. We just have some dragons hoarding the wealth at the top. And at this point, they couldn't spend that money in their lifetimes if they tried. But it's an ego thing. I'm the richest, I'm this or that or whatever. And yeah. So, I don't know. I want to be somewhere where there's some level of acceptance of people. I enjoy working with kids. I miss being a librarian. I was really good at it. It was a job that I didn't feel like I needed to spend 10 minutes scrolling on my phone just to make myself move on to the next task or something. I just enjoyed all of it. And I was the youth services librarian. And I liked having programs. I liked figuring out books for the kids to read. We probably doubled their graphic novel collection while I was there, and I love that. So, part of me is thinking about going back to school. I don't really want to take on the debt at my age to go back to school for very little salary change, but I also want to create. But I also know that creating takes time to build up an audience and a brand. And I wish I had taken more risk when I was younger. But I was the main provider for my kids. And so you don't take risk then. And I probably should have. But c'est la vie. This probably works better when there's two of us to talk to somebody. It's okay. I figure he's still gonna be my only viewer, so I'm not too worried. Hi, Ty. Hi, honey. He's sleeping it off tonight. And you see how many pears are out of that one pear. So, thanks for keeping me from literally yelling into the void and having a pear with me instead. I hope your night's better than mine. Good night, viewers.